all the way to Mundesley Bay. Written and read by Wade Radford. Introduction. At this time of year, after the flowers have folded in on themselves, and the final crunchy leaf has been trodden underfoot, silence falls upon this place. The breeze howls along the main street. It is the cry of a summer spirit being exercised. Come December, the amusement arcades have long bolted their doors shut, and the sandcastle buckets swing lifelessly at the mercy of a brutal gale. The ice cream vendor inside the cafe has since been left dormant, and where ice once resided, now only stainless steel metal can be viewed. The smell of deeply fried chips can still be inhaled from the tiny chippy that stands as the only remaining scent of a summer by the coast. The Manor Hotel still stands proud upon the cliff top, its rooms and bars defending its patrons against the threat of an incoming tide. The Manor Hotel has stood here far longer than any of us, and on a winter's night, it's been known to watch the spectres of its past pull horse-drawn carriages. It's seen gentlemen in top hats, thieves hanging around their pockets. It's watched parasols protect delicate ladies and has played host to a multitude of owners, all dead now, all spirits. The screeches of the children, once washed out to sea, can still be heard. The threat of war along the coast, gone but never forgotten. If you listen closely, you can hear the rocks crumble as England continues to sink into the sea. As the falling debris slides down into the ocean, the lingering souls of those who have passed on fight hard to keep Mundesley from sinking. It isn't only North Norfolk that fights adamantly to stay afloat. Each coast that sits upon our globe weeps as it lands cascades to the sea, bitter and haggard from the effect of man. Still, the land falls apart so subtly that most of humanity worry not about it. But what happens hundreds of years from now, as the cliffs continue to drop off, taking with them homes, businesses, and our dear Manor Hotel? When will people realise that we are being eaten alive, that erosion is feeding day by day, and it is hungry, it is ravenous, and it won't stop until we've all drowned? Dear Mundesley, though, it sits at this time of year, a real living entity beneath its appearance of a ghost town. The business signs still swing. The war memorial still stands as a cautionary reminder of the plight of man. And the ghosts, they still howl for the love of their forgotten Mundesley. The walkways to the beach roll treacherously from the high street, beckoning passers-by to descend down the long concrete. Once rolled down, it encourages you to walk along the promenade, winter winds slapping you across the face, salty seawater relentlessly moisturizing your winter-beaten lips. Ghost town or not, you can't quite deny the fresh air that engulfs your lungs and paralyzes you ready for sleep. The horizon, so dreary, yet so much more alive than you. The boats in the distance, so risky, yet so much braver than you. The ocean laps against the shore. The elderly cower beside their wood burners, desperate to keep at bay the icy harbinger of death. The closed signs will remain hanging gallows-like until the season has passed. The frost will continue to penetrate the thin window panes of aging houses, and the tide will drag away any senseless adventurers. This is Mundesley Bay, beautiful, but in disarray. This season kills businesses, And for the proprietors of these aging old haunts, Ebenezer will come knocking, expecting the same harsh payments. Down on the beach, breathing heavily and struggling, an old woman calls her dog back, demanding he returns from the edge of oblivion. He races against the unapologetic tide as it pushes out and sucks back in. She coughs up phlegm and barks at the small Jack Russell again. How disobedient he is. With his tail wagging, he runs toward her. He slaps himself down upon the drenched sand and submits to her with his podgy belly now revealed. She groans as she bends down, her spine stinging and her knees cracking. She attaches a small black lead to his worn collar and stands back up, exhaling and inhaling, desperately trying to catch her breath. She has walked this beach every day of her life, with many a different breed of friend. As she stands and feels her spine thank her for the relief of standing upright, she notices to her left that she does not exist alone here down at Mundesley Bay. She squints as she makes out the dizzy shadows of two boys, stood, hand in hand, the seawater teasing them as it nips their feet. Is it fact, or is it fiction? Do their hearts beat simultaneously side by side? Or does this weary wench just see before her more ghosts of this town? She was born here at the bay. She grew up here throughout every season. She saw the booming business of summertime, and she saw the long drawn-out death of dear, sweet Mundesley. She doesn't know anymore the difference between spectres and people. She sees the dead all the time, the ones that came before and the ones that she outlived in her 90 years. She raises an eyebrow and moves forward, desperate to catch another glimpse of the sight of two lovers. They stand hand in hand, watching the ocean, just as she had done with the man she had once fell in love with. His spirit still echoed around each desolate street of this town. Maybe if this mirage before her was actually a reality, then love still blossomed here. She can see something else, something in the distance, but these old eyes can easily be deceived. The heart still beats deep within the bay. It was a life force that had gone underground, but still very much existed within each grain of sand, within each drop of the ocean, within each brick that made a community. If these lovers lived and breathed, then what had summoned them all the way to Mundesley Bay? Chapter 1. The Ghost That Guards the Cottage. This is very important that you understand this. We must establish this from the start. I ache within these walls. I've ached here far longer than you can comprehend. I've drifted on air and floated between the bricks of this cottage, right from its inception. I am the ghost who built this home. I do not pester this territory, nor do I rap on doors in the dead of night, or move inanimate objects from one side of the room to the other. My silhouette does not randomly emerge, and lights do not flicker on or off. You must grasp from the get-go that I do not haunt. I do not cry out at 3 in the morning for attention, and I do not announce myself as an entity that you must be wary of. I just am. We all just are. If anything, all I have done is stand guard of the bricks that sheltered me from the storm. I am the security for a home I was fortunate to have. I have no need to be the poltergeist that evolved to serve your darkest fears. I just float here. For centuries. 500 of them to be precise. I have just waded in and out, as unimportant as I was in life. But my life was important. It was important to me in the time that I existed, important to the woman I loved, important to the children I reared. I was instrumental in extending one room, then another, and another, until the house was fully formed. I was needed to light fires, was expected to collect wood. I was destined to live, to pass on, and to protect. I've always been here. When I ascended beyond this realm, strangers moved in. I watched a whole new unit evolve, grow, and hand my beautiful creation down and down and down. Different families frequented this place for hundreds of years, each passing on down and delivering my home as a gift. I've seen buckets become toilets, open fires become log burners, tin become baths, straw become beds. I've enjoyed just existing on the cusp of two worlds, standing on the crossroads between life and eternal peace. It is not for everyone, but I've stood here, the keeper of the keys, defending so closely this small space that gave me so much joy when my blood still pumped around my mortal body. I've seen families lift from their bodies as their souls rose up and passed me by, waving as they willingly continued forth to a tranquil place. And I chose to stay, and I know they understood. I am this cottage. I am its creator and its minder. I've enjoyed smiling as I've watched parents watch their offspring grow. I've seen children return here to cook for their elderly parents and tell them of their lives in the city. I've seen the pride in parents' eyes, knowing they did just enough to open a door that provided an existence worthy of having for their children. I've also watched those parents die. I've watched the pain across the faces of family who gutted my cottage of their personal belongings. Life, it continues on. The world continues to spin. I've watched and learnt from so many beings who have added a part of themselves to my humble beginnings in this cottage. I've seen people prosper, seen families fail. I've seen unconditional love of the highest standard, and along the way, I've raised an eyebrow at some of the less fortunate characters that have passed through. I fell in love with women who cooked in our kitchen, fell in love with men who loved their women, felt like an uncle to the small children who ran wildly in the gardens that I gave birth to. I've loved so many times over 500 years. In life, I had my wife. I had my two children. In death, I've become of a much wider family, a family who never knew me. Do I get lonely? No. To observe is an afterlife I've chosen. It is an afterlife I've enjoyed. The residents over centuries have been my viewing pleasure, my sanctuary, an unexpected family. What jubilation it brings me to have survived so many family trees, to have been the shadow that has been so ingrained within people's time on earth, with them never even knowing about it. Real affections I've felt so many times for people who would never have the chance to feel my presence. Maybe they do. Who knows? I have stood amongst the drama of disagreements and stayed grounded until their resolve. The times I've watched people weep alone at night and reached out an invisible hand that they maybe never felt. The grazes to the knees that I felt as children fall down. The ups and downs and turmoils of relationships I've observed throughout the years. I felt their pain as they laid confused in bed, wondering if this was the end or whether love would prevail. I've seen the bonds develop, the seams rip, the inevitable conclusions to so many disagreements. All of it I've watched like a performance right before my very eyes. I've been the energy in the room that so often hasn't been felt, but I felt them. I felt their every happiness, their every woe. I viewed so many tears dry and so many smiles reappear. So many families have I become so involved in these 500 years. It's been a never-ending cliffhanger. As I watch them shut their eyes, and are like them, I have no idea of the conclusion that tomorrow will bring. It's been such a long time, and I can remember all of their names. The way young Elise would hold her bear right up until the day she fell in love, and that fluffy bear was replaced with the strapping arms of a real man who embraced her. I remember Kevin and the letters he'd send to his mother weekly, indulging her need to know of his whereabouts, know of his adventures. I've seen little Glynis learn the lessons of time, of her childhood, and seen her propensity to do better by her own children. Frank, I spied as he held the pieces together for his family. I've seen him rise each day and work till the sun went down, aiming to be comfortable in the knowledge that all were provided for. Patty and Ron would join the daily grind, providing for their children, and in a similar era, Nigel would hold his sister's hand when she needed it most. To the world, all of these are just names, but I can assure you I watched them. I watched as Cicely battled a disease of the mind that no one then understood. I've grown, even in death. I've grown with all these family members that I watched live out their own story. All of our individual lives are so meaningless on the grand scale of life. But those that reside within these walls know these characters as the stars of their own stage show. It's played out before me. I've seen so many elements of existence. Life is such a beautiful performance, if not a little dark and ominous at times. Within every wall, in every village, in every town, within every county, within every country, is a story that's never really been told. It's never been told before because even the similarities they share never allow the characters to be completely the same. This is why I reside. In death, I've learned so much more than life could have ever granted me. I'm the observer, the other side of the room, that watches the theatricals play out. These days, no families live here. Each week new visitors arrive. The cottage has become a novelty for city dwellers that are desperate to escape the rat race and slow down by the log fire, often popping outside to breathe in the coastal air and the low-light pollution sky. As aforementioned, I'm still here and I never left. Instead of families, I'm now rubbing shoulders with strangers on a weekly basis. People appear here from all around the globe to surrender to the serenity of the natural environment that is so hard to obtain these days. I don't mind. Sure, I don't build meaningful, lifelong relationships with families anymore, but I do meet so many interesting characters. Oh, the door has just opened at the front of my beloved cottage, and a single young male has stepped over the threshold. Admittedly, this cottage is often occupied by newly loved-up couples or families, so this solitary, dark-eyed, sad-looking young man has piqued my interest. Tom, that is his name. You don't have to understand the wisdom of spirits and how sometimes we just know. Damn, you are probably sat there wrestling with your own views of anything remotely paranormal. But for now, just believe in the fact that I know. He lays down his luggage, and his eyes nervously gaze around the entrance hall that comes complete with a dining room table. His shoulders hunch up, straining against the cold and the damp that resides here. This place, as I'm sure you've come to understand, has been inhabited for an age. New Age pipes do not run through its structure, warding off the demon cold. He shuffles into the dimly lit character sitting room. Funky walls of all girths surround him. Strong, yes, but still these walls have changed shape over time. They've sunk into the ground the same way the cliffs have sunk into the sea. As I do with all visitors, I watch him shift around the place. He carries his bags up the rickety staircase and settles on the four-poster bed in the master bedroom. Of course, all visitors here are taken with the four-poster. Now, this bed is really nothing to get excited about. But for one who is uneducated in the matter of bedroom furniture, or one who has never seen a four-poster, it serves as something of a rare novelty. He places his bags down and tests the mattress for bounce or for slab. This is not uncommon. Paying guests for this establishment often practice this dance as a rite of passage. Will they sink deeply and be stabbed by springs, or will the bed offer a firm, back-relieving quality? Neither. The bed is neither too soft or too hard. It is a generic middle-mark mattress, nothing you'd rave about in a 5-star review and nothing you'd venomously slander in a 1-star. The bed, like myself, just exists. It just is. Neither impressed or horrified, he stands back up and walks over to the wooden shutters that act as a blind. He rolls them open and gazes out at a pitch-black sky. It is only 6 in the evening, but England is covered in darkness, aside from the few dying stars, shining their final light from a distant place millions of light years away. What does he think as he gazes out at the fading cosmos? His dark brown eyes possess a certain heaviness, a sadness, if you will. He clears his throat over and over. I align myself right by his side, almost wanting to reach out and place a gentle touch upon him. He flexes his hands continuously as well, and everything about this being exudes an edge of apprehension. He spins quickly on his heels and makes for the stairs, moving so quickly that I have to drift at lightning speed behind him. The short, slender young man rips open his suitcase and takes out a bottle of wine. He organises it upon the kitchen side and takes 2 glasses from the cabinet, laying them neatly either side of the bottle. He's not drinking for 2, so company must be close by. This stranger's nervousness plays havoc with me. I would reach out if I could. I talk words of comfort if these parallel universes allowed. Instead, I stand transparent in the corner, as under a dim living room light, he squeaks open the heavy iron doors of the log burner. I'm not on this plane, but still the noise goes straight through me. I observe as he arranges kindling wood like a teepee in the centre and softly places larger logs around them. He pokes today's newspaper of lies in gaps between the wood and goes about his fire-starting work very meticulously. Once firelights are set in place, he strikes a match on that old favourite aroma of mine wafts through the room. The woody scent takes me back hundreds of years. It is the smell of comfort, the flavour of warmth. With one delicate touch of burning match against firelight, a hypnotic flame ignites the burner. It clings to all it can find. Tabloids cremate, and logs diminish as the fire rips through all it can find. It creates a welcome destruction as chaos eats the fuel, and an earthy pong penetrates the air. He sits down beside the fire, stealing the most left corner of the sofa he can find, the one that sits him closest to the flames that lap up the wood and smack against the furnace like doors. As he sits deep in thought, toasty at last, an 8-legged creature crawls toward him, strutting quickly, on a mission with no clear goal. An arachnophobe he is not, as he calmly notices the spider and watches as it waltzes close to his hand. This spider, A distraction for a moment in time for a busy mind, maybe? I watch him as he gazes at the spider stumble drunkenly close to his arm. These cottages are old. Many a web has been spun in each crevice of this build. Many a creature has resided here among man to escape the harsh winters that attack outside. Even as I say of the creature's hibernation, strong winds smack the windows, doors creak and hinges squeak. The wind has caused far more paranormal-like phenomena here than I ever have. Tom slants his hand downward, and the large-legged friend clambers clumsily on. He cups him safely and moves him onto the wood basket. Now the spider rejoices amongst the aged wood and wanders freely among the moss that has glued itself upon this fallen tree bark. He kneels down, watching as his new companion takes in the offerings of nature, watches as he stumbles through moss, hard bark, and slides up and down the last remaining branches. I feel an admiration. I feel a sense of gratitude to this kind young man, a simple act of sparing this creature's life. He didn't throw him out against the harsh breeze and rain. He didn't squash him under fist or foot. He moved him on, securing his safety on this fragile planet for just a while longer. The nihilistic act of man these days has become a norm rather than a controversy. The littering, the polluting, the casual slaying of another species. It's all around us in every dish cooked or fried, all around us with every oil slick in the water, every aluminium can on our beach. Man has become self-entitled, self-important. He has evolved, or so he thinks. He uses swats to kill flies, machinery to gut animals, pesticides to poison nature. Man has stopped caring. He has stopped believing in his own ability to bring about change. Man forgot about God, forgot about spirits. He gave up caring and believing in life beyond the realm. Man feels no foreboding over what he does in this life. He gave up believing in anything, and as such, fears not what will become of him. I love everything about the world. I miss everything about life. What I'd give to smell the herb garden in full growth, to smell flowers in full bloom. I yearn to inhale flavours of spice and herb as it cooks away over the fireplace. Can you smell the wind? I miss smelling its damp, smelling its spring, smelling its smoke from neighbouring chimneys. Man only knows what he misses when it's gone, but it's hard to imagine loss when you believe in nothing at all. That's what I see today, a lack of hope and a certainty of nothingness. But maybe, just maybe, there is hope. For this young man seems to live and breathe it. I barely know him, but that gentle hand, that acknowledgement of something so much smaller than him, it is pleasing. I notice the clock on the wall strikes 6. It may as well be midnight for the darkness that assumed its ominous shadow outside. I rush to the window. It's 6, and she'll be here any moment. I never miss it, not ever once. As I reach the window, leaving behind me the mindful lad sat upon the sofa, there she is. She glides out of darkness, shining a sublime light upon the empty dark lane. Sure, you want me to tell you of her pigtails and white frilly dress, for she is young, she is spirit, so therefore I must summon up cliché. But no, I will stick with the facts. She glides stereotypically, yes, but in a long dress, no. She is head to toe in tattered grey rags, not one bit of stylized clothing, but instead just bits of torn cloth and various fabrics. Grey, dingy, well-worn and ragged. Her hair is blonde, like all the best ghost tales, but it's matted from graft, deeply soaked with dirt. So much so that she may as well be a brunette. The only sign of blonde is when the moon hits her head dead on, and certain strands break through, shining an enormous light in between all of the grit. Her blue eyes are not puddles. They barely glimmer. They are a dark blue that carries a certain melancholy within the iris. We do the nightly dance as we did yesterday, and the night before, and all the years before that. Sure, she is the every image of childhood poverty, but between the grime a real beauty emerges, a purity, a warmth. She stops the other side of the lane and raises a gentle, fragile, china-like hand. She waves. I smile gently back and acknowledge her greeting, returning my own soft wave back toward her. She too smiles and continues on her way, gliding so stereotypically by as you've heard in all the best ghost stories. That is it. Every night, 6 o'clock, a simple notice of our existence. A smile, a soft wave, and then our journeys continue. Nothing less, nothing more. I'm not sure she even exists as I do. You've heard of these ghosts that dance the same dance time after time, at the exact same hour, in the same place, with the same vision. These are ghosts, a moving of tectonic plates, maybe. History repeating itself, burnt into the crust of time like a movie on a loop. The company she brings is maybe no company at all. Maybe I'm just viewing something so etched in time, replaying each night for a significant reason. Did she meet her end on the lane she still prowls along? Did she save a life there? What makes this little girl's walk so deserving of being preserved in time like this? Maybe it is not significant at all. Maybe she wanders still because she was in the right place at the right time. Maybe the moon hit her like a spotlight on life's stage one night, and something so pure and innocent was to be preserved forever just because. Life is a lot of just because. We could howl at the sky and continually ask why. Why me? Why did my life turn out like this? Why don't they love me? Why can't I move on? Why do bad things happen to good beings? The universe at large has never responded, so the only rational explanation could ultimately be just because. She reminds me of my daughters, probably and simply just for the fact that I once had a pair. That they too were once young and also born into poverty, born to a family who worked tirelessly upon the lands. It's been so long since I've seen my daughters that I even doubt my own observation of there being any resemblance between them and this nightly spectre. But my daughters would also glide freely and innocently around these once impoverished parts. It's hard to fathom for me, even now, that hundreds of years have passed since I last held my babies, since I saw their beautiful souls. A rapping commotion suddenly erupts from the large barn door and distracts me. Rap, 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 goes the large door knocker. Tom bolts to his feet, apprehension now invading him so quickly like a fatal last injection, cortisol swallowing him up, drowning him beneath a tide of worry and self-doubt. I watch him sheepishly cross the room, hands shaking and then stuffed into his pockets to wear as a disguise. I knew he wouldn't be drinking for one. He reaches the door, and it raps again impatiently. Even the knock upon the door, the noise itself, inhabits more confidence than Tom's own physical presence does. Tom, all flustered and panic-stricken, throws open the door, and in walks an entirely different aura. This one's complex, a painting of so many different dancing colours, a Picasso with the messiest shades and mixtures. I watch as he stands helpless. I listen as he stumbles on every word of his greeting. I see the aura fight away its own facade and replace them with a wall that even I am struggling to blast through. Both energies combine by the door as the harsh wind throws its weight in, penetrating the warmth and freezing it. The cottage has suddenly grown cold, but I can't help but feel the teasing tickle of the unknown. Sometimes we open doors without meaning to, whether for right or wrong. These open doors change the footing along our road forever. This is a door, a familiar door to me. But what entered is change. Chapter 2. Pottage. No fresh fruit for sale here. It is not allowed anymore. The fruit carries with it diseases that only contribute to the plague that our society endures. How many more will fall? For a family that relies heavily on foraging what they can in order to make what they can, any ban on produce is detrimental, especially a ban on something that grows so naturally, that is so easy to pluck away from its branch and place a price upon. What we find, we sell. What we catch, we sell. We take a price to live a life. We work to live and to survive. That is all. For us, tonight, we will feast upon pottage. Tomorrow, we will endure more pottage. It is the wholesome gruel of our people, and it is sustainable, fairly nutritional, and it is all that settles these weary bones and makes them move the morning after. No wine to add a deliciously dizzy kick to our pot. No nuts will you find scattered atop. A pinch of ginger is not pinched upon this dish, and saffron is but a dream. Pottage, that is what we shall eat. Barley, oats, and maybe the rare morsels of bread to dip if we are particularly flush. If you walk along the shore in your tatters, you may smell the whiff of haddock cooking up high on the hill. A miserable, putrid smell, you gasp. Not nearly. Haddock is the aroma of the fat man who is eating well this eve. Cod, the scent of the man who lives by charging us for our living. A smoked joint of ham, maybe, smashed to pieces and lining the dish of an upper-class pottage. Tonight, the taxman will eat ham, tomorrow fish, but each night he will enjoy some dippy, drippy, fresh baked bread. We all sit on the cold, hard stone floor, thankful for the firewood collected that now roars in the pit. Family gathered around, displaying their pickings for the day, sellable produce into the cart, the remainders into the pottage. Tonight is oats, with very little flavour, but tonight we shall live to fight another day. Others, however, go without their gruel. They've been without it for weeks. We dine on pottage tonight. 98% oats. But while we dine, others in Mundesley die. Chapter 3. Strangers in the Night. You are okay. That is what my note read, but now he stands before me. I know that I'm anything but okay. JD, he calls himself. The icy breeze slaps me across the face, and before me he stands, his figure with those broad shoulders and that barrel chest. I see it, that smug grin plastered thickly upon each corner of his mouth. I'm a mess. My heart's doing backflips. My palms are leaking with sweat and I feel delirious. If I pass out, my rebellious daring streak would have been a very short-lived disappointment. He's taller than me even, which isn't difficult, but he's at least 3 inches taller, tall enough to patronisingly kiss the top of my head. My mind is rambling. I'm rambling. If anxiety can kill you, then I'm going to die. Which will kill me first, this fluttering heart or my embarrassment? Wait. Oh, shit. Even my eyebrows leaking. I'm continuously stroking my sleeve against my forehead, mopping away my sweaty shame. I actually came this far, defeated the black dog of depression, the roaring beast of anxiety. I made it to the cottage, I stood before this stranger, and now all my mustered up confidence is going to end with my heart spontaneously combusting in my chest. Shit. I'm going to die. He's come all this way to meet me, and I'm going to keel over on this hard floor and pass away as a result of bravery. Oh, the irony. Wait. Is my lip trembling? That hasn't happened before. Is this a sign of the end? You are okay. Damn. It's cold out there. Those were his first words. A comment on the cold? What an icebreaker. I don't care what he said. It's that same husky voice I've become so accustomed to on the phone. But this is for real. The vocabulary is actually leaving. The lips that actually belong to a real face. Not one missold. He looks as good as I thought he would. Better maybe, because he actually exists. Here I am, short and skinny and starting to feel fairly vulnerable. What am I actually doing here? I've agreed to meet a perfect stranger in a cottage for a whole weekend. Yes, I suppose it does sound rather ominous. I've never done anything like this in my life. I'm finally far away from the boy who won't even go on a night out if it's in the dark. Or maybe I'm just the same, and this was simply a lapse of common sense. Maybe all that cortisol is screwing with my brain, and I'm on some strange anxiety high that's going to crash and burn and finish me off. I'd like to say I like being so scandalous, but anxiety in its normal form is there to prepare you for the fight or flight. I probably will do neither. I'll just curl up in a ball and welcome my demise with open arms. I close the door as JD strides past me, an absolute confidence in his stride. My next question for myself is, why is everyone else so trouble-free and full of a self-assuredness that I've never known nor possessed? Now, rational mind me knows that this isn't the case. But when one is of an anxious predisposition, everyone else's life seems less complex. I follow him through to the kitchen. He spies the red wine, a French Bordeaux, sitting invitingly on the side. Would you like a glass? I'm paranoid by now that each of my words dribble out of my mouth, and the moths in the back of my throat make my larynx so dry. He smiles. A silence falls upon us both. I take said silence as an opportunity to pour wine, to appear busy, to appear to concentrate on pouring it in a manner that does not spoil the wine. The previously confident JD does nothing to break the awkward silence. I pass him in a glass and he swigs quickly. I pick up the bottle, ready to pour him some more. Now, I'll be the first to admit I'm not a dedicated drinker, and I'm already feeling that keeping up with JD could be of detriment to my health. Small talk now fluctuates in the air. The tales of journeys to the middle of nowhere, the time it took, the swapped acknowledgement that neither of us had been in these parts before. Why Mundesley? I suppose from the safety of our computers, as we became fond of each other, a sleepy seaside town seemed like the perfect thread that would sew together a love story. Of course, that is jumping the gun ever so slightly. But we all at some time in our lives have felt those first riptides of romance, and dreamt that the initial meet would become a tale to tell for years to come. I can't lie to myself. I dreamt it all. That gaze as we locked eyes for the first time, followed by falling into each other's arms. How corny, I know. But we can all have our fantasies, right? We all conduct ourselves very differently in the real world, only to escape the fear of embarrassment, only so we don't appear foolish. What sort of world would it be if we all just gave in to our dreams? A better one, most probably. One that leaves us way more satisfied. A world where gentle touch and honest human interaction weren't a taboo, but could be discussed and acted out so candidly, and we could all take solace in the knowledge that we were who we actually were and did all the things we needed and wanted to do. Did I want to wrap my arms around JD at the door? Of course. Who can honestly deny wanting some kind of affection when their skin has been cold for so long? Who can deny wanting to feel needed? Wanting. That's what we as a species do so well. We want, but often don't act upon those initial steps that make want become got. I preach this to myself, but here I am, stood sipping wine in the kitchen with JD, making small talk, when this... It wasn't the magical first moments I'd yearned for. I felt failed by my awkwardness already, maybe even a little saddened that JD hadn't made that move. I wanted us to leave an indelible mark upon our first moment. I'm a dreamer, like all those others who sought after a perfect moment. I snuggled up to my duvet last night in my own bed, unable to sleep, considering all that I wanted to achieve this weekend. All I wanted was to defiantly face up against the anxiety disorder that so often ravages so much of my personality. I can be better than this. Whilst I folded up in my duvet, I also imagined up those first moments. My first failure is complete. This mind of mine spirals and swims a million miles an hour. Here I am, the talented Mr. Anxious. I'm able to listen intently to JD talk about how he got lost 3 times as he came into Mundesley, how he had no signal to call, how he eventually found the cottage. All the while my brain is having this two-way conversation about my failures and how much I already wasn't fulfilling my wanted commitment to be outrageous and carefree this weekend. I loathe myself sometimes. Often, in fact. JD excused himself once finished, chugging back another glass of Bordeaux, and goes off in search of the lavatory. Each step he takes up the staircase, it creaks and it cracks. This whole place creaks with every movement. All falls silent once the final floorboard to the bathroom has been walked. I stand against the kitchen counter. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 4. Out for 6. I've been working on exhaling for longer. I've read somewhere it's even better for anxiety. The blinds in the entrance hall just outside of the kitchen clatter. I zone in quickly on the wood as it gently smacks against the window. I approach with caution as they continue to move, and eventually I reach out and steady them. Strange. No breeze seems to be coming from that area. I hear footsteps above, tread the floors, 6 stomps, then silence over the bedroom. The footsteps begin again and JD makes his way down the stairs. A 4-poster bed, hey? That same smirk on his face again. Without thinking, my mouth opens and my brain takes a holiday. We can share if you want. The other room's really small. The minute the words had left my mouth, I wanted to shove them back in. My face was reddening. I could feel the burn. We'll see. With that, JD continued on into the living room and sat upon the sofa. I carried his wine in from the kitchen, leaving 20 or 30 seconds between his departure to recover from my humiliation. The worst of it being that I don't want him, based on that, to assume I'm after something. I mean, of course I wouldn't ever want to rule that out. I'm here to break my own barriers, break my own rules. I'm here to crawl out of my suffocating, solitary pit and to explore what and who I can be, to embrace some of what all other early 20-something-year-olds are doing. But my suggestion for us to share didn't come from a place of expectation. I'm also not a liar, and expectation-free this certainly isn't. Do I hope to feel an arm round me in the middle of the night? Well, potentially. Would I like to imagine that maybe we'll lay facing each other, eyes locked, caught in some deep discussion? Sounds great. My mind's rambling again. I know I have expectations. I know I have wants and, yes, I have dreams. But whilst admitting all that, nor do I expect any of it to come to fruition. I just want to feel comfortable. to feel sure of myself, and anything else is a spectacular bonus. As we sat upon opposite sofas with the gentle crackling of the wood fire in the burner, nervous glances continued to fleet in both directions. Small talk left my quivering lips, while certainty left his. The bottle became less, and the wine warmed us, and it increased the conversation within the room. How does any relationship form? It forms with the words spoken, the opinions stated, the stories of everyday life that passes us by, small anecdotes weave together that start to create the puzzle of a stranger who minute by minute becomes more familiar. We speak of songs that make the anthems of our lives, films that speak our language, books that hold pages of our souls, bound together, a journey's souvenir. As I speak, my confidence mounts. I form a personality that's been tucked away safely inside, until now. Prosperity is mine, for behind my anxiety, my wealth is my health, and my life is okay. I'm okay. When I speak, he grins. I must still have a sense of humour. When I smile back, our gazes meet. Maybe I'm doing this right. Maybe, just maybe, I can be as attractive to JD as he is to me. The dizzying wine carries me. It sellotapes for now any insecurities I carry. Tonight I am not cumbersome to endure. I am well. All is well. And out here in the middle of nowhere, our voices may as well be the only voices in the universe. The low-light pollution throws down bright stars from the skies above. The lack of electrical lighting leaves the romantic glow solely to the fire. All is well, and harmonious this night. And the curtain of our theatre has been lifted for the next 2 nights. We are the stars of this stage, and if the show goes according to plan, we must surely welcome, an encore. As wine glasses become abandoned on the side, and the fire becomes but embers, the rustling inside the house was the sounds of an evening well spent, being prepared for bed. I sit upon the 4-poster, unsure how the next scene plays out. I can hear the shower downstairs pumping away and can only imagine JD stood beneath its flow. I'm human and my mind is still racing. Of course, an image of him unclad has crossed my thoughts. Attraction is here and I finally feel safe. I feel safe in his presence and my everyday tiny world seems so far away. The world today has stopped. It's no longer spinning. Time is frozen for us here in the wilderness. I change into my comfy baggy top and slip some jogging bottoms on. I slide beneath the covers of the antique bed, knowing not what to expect next. After my embarrassing misdemeanor earlier, the bedroom door will either swing open, JD willing to sleep by my side. If not, then I will hear the closing of a door down the corridor. I want him by my side. That's how comfortable I am. I don't want to sleep in this bygone bedroom solo. I want to share every single bit of this historical place. Create my own history. Yes, the bottle of reserve wine has most certainly infiltrated my anxiety and numbed it, but beyond that, I want to feel him next to me. Maybe tomorrow I will awake to the gentle tune of his breathing and, okay, I'm allowed to fantasize, right? I'm no longer forcing myself to be brave. I no longer feel I need to muster strength. I'm here, committed to this passage in time, wanting this moment. I startle as the bedroom door swings open and hits the hard brick wall. Oops, sorry. There goes that grin again. He gently pushes the door shut, a silly expression plastered on his face. He stands at the end of the bed, leaning against one of the posts. I'm bunking with you then. My brain, for the first time ever, creates a filter. My lips wanted to utter reassurance that if he wants to sleep somewhere else, then that is fine. No, it isn't fine. I want him here with me, and the brain sieve has caught those false words. I simply reply yes and smile. As he moves to his side of the bed, celebrations erupt inside of me. Not just for my rare ability to catch my words, but for the fact that I have embraced my desires and run feral with them. JD lifts the covers and lays himself down by my side. He doesn't turn to me. He doesn't leap on me. He does not stare into my eyes. He does nothing. He remains on his back, looking above, studying the ceiling. Thank you for an amazing night. Oh, God. My filter is already disbanded, and that was the most original statement I could come up with. A sudden disappointment drains over me, a familiar cloud I know re-emerging, the cloud of doubt I live under. JD turns his head toward me, his body still flat against the bed. I had fun. He winks playful at me and with that turns away, shutting off the small lamplight, and then disappearing off into the dark void the bedroom had become. What did I do wrong? He is obviously being courteous to sleep by my side, smiling and winking out of pity. It'll be no surprise if in the morning I awake to an empty bed. I hate that gut-wrenching feeling, that blow to the stomach. Just a few minutes ago I was king of my own emotions, certain of what I needed and wanted. Now I'm a small child all over again, red-faced and sick to the stomach. Night-night, JD. Chapter 4. Dirty needles. Blood stained at the slightest prick. Poison delivered with the gentlest of pushes. He sighs relief as the venom takes over. The curtains shut, and he falls into a paralyzed slumber. A toxic slumber to escape the toxic existence. A daily must, daily dirt, daily intoxication. A deadly hit to fight a poisoned mind. I heave at the image. I hack up the phlegm that belongs to his lungs. My eyes spin wildly. That Ferris wheel disequilibrium. Strange vertigo sends me upside and down, and I have no idea how anyone can exist like this. The vision, the feeling evacuates as quickly as it came. I'm the X-ray in the darkness, sat over by the window, staying with Tom until his worried mind lays to rest. I can hear him breathing gently now. As they both drifted to dreamland, curious visions danced around this room. Like an out-of-body experience, their resting minds sent these messages to me. I see these boys step out of their bodies, almost like they're stood up and got off their mattresses, literally. Like a quick dose of somnambulism. It's like they performed elements of their lives and secrets before me, never knowing that they danced in their sleep. That heartbeat couldn't have felt normal. It is before me, slamming over 100 beats a minute. How does fear feel? Well, it would obviously feel like that. Stop this dream walking and stop these images. How do these boys sleep with such pent-up horror living deep within them? Thomas, if you could feel the gentle, regular beat of your heart that exists while you sleep, how would tranquil feel to you? JD, I see you. I'm starting to know you. Jacob Dion, how does it feel to no longer sweat like you once did? Embrace this peace, for none of us know how long it will last. Embrace your growing emotions. Embrace your freedom. Embrace your opportunities. Embrace each other, for you may be two binds that knot against adversity. You may be the knot that carries each other for the days that you have left to endure. You may be the knot that strengthens with small token giving, with matrimony, with passion, with success, with every fleeting experience. Why sleep so far apart when you both desire that knot? There is many ways to skin a cat, as is there many ways to come together. You both have to decide your path, but don't take too long. Paths have a habit of reaching a natural end. Don't waste a single moment, a single opportunity. Don't waste any affection or any truth-telling of the heart. Our pride has never got any of us that far. Be free to sing the words needing to be sung, to wear the candid truth upon your sleeve. Time is waiting for no one. Waste not a minute. I've spoken those words, but they go unheard. How I yearn for someone to hear my insight. I was an old man. I am an even older ghost. Arrogance aside, I wish mostly for my words to be heard because I lived my own mistakes and watched so many others wither away in here, only dreaming of what they wish they'd said and done. Regret. It is a popular trait, and it is popular for good reason. Regret is universal, but it doesn't have to be owned by Thomas and Jacob. Regret need not be owned by anyone. It is what we do with opportunity and true love that keeps regret so far at bay. If pride is all that keeps these boys from the truth, then pride will lead to dissatisfaction when good times come knocking. Jacob Dion, your history dances above you. It isn't the light heart and facade you presented here tonight. It is dark. That's not to say you are dark or depraved in any way, but the lines you've read this evening past are the script you've been reading for some time. You've perpetuated your own truth, living in a shame you need not live in. There is nothing shameful about triumphing over your own darkness. Please just talk. The both of you talk. Annihilate the bravado you both portray. Cut away the branches and unearth what makes you both so similar. Your secrets and self-loathing are what connect you. Those factors are what will bring you together. I see you both stood in the bright light of truth. I wish my words would transcend these parallel universes and reach your ears. I'm not a philosopher, nor a deity, but my message could bring you both comfort. It could potentially unleash the freedom you both so need. I can feel my throat tighten and my words getting muddled, as I wish so desperately that I could speak them. I want to help. You both drift into my cottage and into my vision, living out your lives, and I can't help but feel drawn to helping. What cruel twist of fate has silenced me for so long? I exist, I promise. I'm here, but you don't see me. I speak, but you don't hear me. I want so desperately to be heard, because my messages, I believe, would only spread good. No Ouija boards will ever conjure me. That is just a gimmick for the movies and the fraudsters. No burning candle, surrounded by a handheld group, would reach me. I'm here, but there is no way to connect. I am sure of that. But if I can't interact, then why do I stay? All who I've loved have crossed over into that eternal light. I get scared too, and though I'm lonely, and I fear the eternal place of rest, would it be more isolating? What if the faces of my treasured are not there? What if the eternal resting place is just that, laid to rest and silenced forever? Though I can't break through onto the human plane, watching, observing, and being is still far less frightening than resting once and for all. God wasn't waiting at the gates on my judgment day. He doesn't exist. That is not intended to be controversial, he just doesn't. I was a follower throughout my whole living existence. The good book bound together my community. We prayed together. We were thankful together. And that is not a disappointment nor a regret of mine. The written word allowed us to care for our neighbour, to stand in solidarity with our fellow man. And that is something only to celebrate. But the truth remains that upon my transcendence from man to spirit, only two options opened up before me. A cliched light shone in the distance, beckoning me forward, and behind me stood my proud, comforting cottage. I stayed. I chose to stay. Though no familiar face greeted me when my heart beat no more, I wanted to stay. I was once man, and as such, the soul that lived within me still feared what laid beyond death. No deity waited to greet me. I rose up, looked at my lifeless body, and as aforementioned, the light or the familiar became my options. I chose what was familiar to me. The walls that had sheltered me from the cold, the home that encompassed every living memory I'd created. I chose my sanctuary, for the light was more of the unknown. I was a coward in death. I don't want eternal peace to be eternal nothingness. I want to see, even if I can't join in. I've had the pleasure of watching life evolve in front of my very eyes for 500 years. I suppose to some degree I'm useless. Not by choice, but by ability. I'd still rather just watch, rather than resting. I loved life, and I loved people. And even all this time later, I suppose, I'm not ready to give that up. I'm the ghost story unfamiliar to you, because I know really that I remain useless to the living, but that isn't for lack of wanting. Even if I can't touch you or speak to you, I will stand beside you. Who knows? Maybe I had expectations of imminent judgment upon my passing. Maybe I expected my Lord, that I followed, to appear before me. He didn't. But maybe he will. Maybe he is beyond that light that I so desperately fear. I'm in a self-created limbo, and if and when I pass through, possibly everything I believed in so passionately will be there waiting for me. Just have faith. That's what I used to say to folk. Then where is my trust and faith to pass forward and onwards? A living, breathing characteristic I carry with me in death is fear. I wish that someone could have been waiting to escort me beyond this plane. My fear potentially now is having to make that change alone. I love watching others' lives evolve, for I miss my own tremendously. In death, I appreciate how lucky I was to be alive, to smell the exciting scents of boiling vegetables, to inhale the aged firewood, to drink the fermented tangy grape, to feel her arms around me and feel her breath upon my chest. Holding my children as wailing became peace, to exchange the village news with a passing neighbour, to feel the salt water of the bay while swimming under an incandescent summer sky. I do miss life, and everyone I see inhabit these walls I urge them to treasure their own. If they knew what I know, then they would. Breathing. How I love the sound. Honestly, Thomas and Jacob are breathing in unison this evening. It is a wonderful, gentle sound. Aside from the soothing sounds of sleep, the only other sound here is the one that lives in these walls. The heart of this house thuds behind every brick. The pulse clear to listen to for anyone who listens hard enough. Homes are built, and character is added with each and every occupier. Anyone who thinks houses don't become their own entity, they are wrong. Each inhabitant adds a vital organ to the structure. If you listen for a little longer, you can hear all that the heart has remembered. Every grazed knee of a child, every wail of pain in the dead of night, every heavy breathed stroke of passion between the sheets. This heart of this home remembers them all. It is a collective archive of every emotion concealed within these walls. This cottage has more soul left than any of us who have passed on. But it couldn't have lived on without us. The beat of the wall begins to thud harder. It pulsates, it misses beats, it endures palpitations. The onset was sudden. Tom sits up. Peace has left. He pants. He gasps. The raspy sound of begged-for breath drains all the tranquility from the room. Hand on heart, grabbing at his shirt, almost urging the damn organ to pump. "I'm dying. Help me. I'm dying," he shouts in panicked pain as the end is nigh. JD wraps arms around him. They snake, meeting in the middle of his chest. They embrace and protect him. He lays his two hands gently over the location of Tom's heart. "Help me," he begs on. I can't help him. I stand by the side of this damn bed reaching out, only to see my transparent reach fall from his chest. "Breathe. You're okay. You have to breathe." Jacob is firm, delegating instructions. The sound of the urgent inhalation of oxygen makes me wince. This is desperation. Tom looks up to the ceiling, begging for an entity beyond life on Earth to help. He surrenders his rational, hoping for intervention from beyond. "I cannot help you." JD takes his hands, entwines them with his own, and holds them firmly against Tom's own heart. As he does, he breathes with him. Tom repeats, "In for 4, hold for 4, out for 6. I'd seen him do this earlier. How does someone live with such sudden onsets of terror? My eyes have not cried for so many hundreds of years, but sometimes it's like I can still feel the swelling behind them. I can still feel that lump in my throat. This self-confessed weakness he possesses is truly no weakness at all. Anyone who can survive such often and reoccurring bouts of sheer panic, surely they must be a warrior, a survivor. One could not begin to imagine the fear or the pain. JD has propped himself behind Tom, their hands still embraced across his chest. He kisses his neck gently, whilst running his hands through his hair. "I didn't want this. I wanted to fight this." Tom collapses into floods of tears, fearful that his secret had been cast out in such candid panic. JD understands. His eyes reflect an understanding. He's been there before. He kisses him again. Tom's breathing starts to settle down, with each gentle neck kiss, with each caress of Tom's hair. JD places him against his chest, ready and willing to wait until Tom drifts back into peace. I like you, Tom. With that, eyes close, muscles relax, and as dawn approaches over the cliffs of Mundesley, two boys remain embraced. Chapter 5. I cannot stand that image that looks back at me. It can't be me. Such a mixture of feelings occur as I dance this human dance each morning. The steamy water hits my hair and cascades down each strand, each hair acting as a leaking tap as it runs down and drops to my shoulders. The purity of this water tries each day to wash away any remaining sin. It is a universal feeling that occurs under this stream of water, a rebirth for us all each morning. We wash away yesterday's grime and hope with it. It takes away some more of the filth that lives skin deep. The soapy suds I rub from head to toe. I scrub across these indelible marks that reside on the flip side of my elbows. Even these suds can't wash away that kind of depravity. I position myself carefully, trying not to look into the mirror that reflects my natural body back at me. This body I keep is far from unmarred. I hate that reflection. I hate this coat of skin I wear. It belongs to me, I know that. But only when I look in this mirror do I realise how much I wish I could just take this jacket off. I don't want this. All I've got left in this life is my false wit, my facade of confidence, and my want to do better. Behind all that, the chest is larger than I can bear, the figure is bolder than I can carry, and I am dying just a little more each day. When will luck envelope me? When can I look toward the mirror and hold myself again, love myself again? Within a few hours of my morning baptism, my chance to start again will fade. My fingers will hum with the familiar smell of tobacco. My skin will reflect yellow in bright light, and the weather will dry my face out once more. I'm not so pretty as I used to be. Lucky for me, that can be ignored for as long as a mirror isn't present to remind me of the stark truth. I like it here. It's quiet this morning, all but for the sounds of shooting from miles and miles away. The noise is more of an echo, carried by the breeze of the seaside. Here I can awaken in that quiet, solitary peace that I so need in order to prepare for the day. Tom sleeps upstairs, and I didn't want to wake him. That level of panic can take a lot out of a man, and whilst he sleeps, he's at peace. Once I clad myself, I will go out and collect firewood. That is not something I've ever been able to say. The city doesn't provide simple chores upon waking. In the city, the sunrise and chaos begins. Bin men collect as you wipe sleep out of your eyes. Cats fight in back alleys. Mothers screech loudly on the school run, and motorists rage at each other. This feels like a million miles away from that rat race. I feel like this peace is something I could become accustomed to. Everything here was left from yesterday. From the aging log burner in the living room to the boiling kettle on the stove. This simple way of living seems lost today, seems underappreciated. Surely the need to take your time to set a fire each morning is like some kind of meditation for your soul. Meditation. That is what I desire. Not a cross-legged, but to float away down a stream, floating lifelessly as I'm carried by the tide. I want to feel the rushes tickle my legs and feel the life force of the stream's inhabitants as they swim by. Literally, I want to feel peace. I don't know how sweet it tastes, but I want to taste it. Serenity. How can someone even describe that? What is it? Motionless muscles, an empty mind, a blissful stillness. They say you can't miss what you never had, but you can dream it, you can desire it, and that I do. My mind digresses all the time as it flips around and bounds around ideas. This wall, this facade I've erected stops anyone from coming close. The good time boy with the flapping lips and razor tongue. I fool them well. I am deeper than that, but that is my secret. Life has taken almost everything I ever had away, but it didn't take my mind. That I keep concealed, shut down, tucked away to be brought out and pondered when I'm alone. It is mine, and I wish not to share it, because I can't risk it being the last thing I lose. Once at the dilapidated barn outside of the cottage, I could smell musky logs all around me. The owners had left a costly £10 basket of miserable wood. It lasted one evening, but I found their stash, poorly tucked away in the rotting barn by the left side of the house. Considering the condition of the barn, the wood remains dry and ready to fuel. I could even just tuck myself in here. I'd make a bed of logs, sit upon them and hide away. The facade aforementioned is so tiring that it's God's honest relief sometimes just to find a cubbyhole to break down in. I'm the strong one here, right? Tom needs me with all that he's got going on inside his mind. And I can do that. I can be strong for him. But sometimes, just for a few beats, I need somewhere where I can fall apart. Mental note to myself, always offer to collect firewood. This barn is the perfect place for a momentary disintegration. Back to the fire with this pile. The fire will eat away at the kindling, and eventually the flames will engulf the ancient wood. For now, I shall make tea. Tom will wake up with tea. I stand at the doorway to the room, with steam licking up the side of the cup, and Tom sleeps peacefully. Peace at last found him after his early morning dance with panic. I know panic. I know its pain, its effect, and I know the embarrassment that follows after. He has no need to be embarrassed, and I know he shall mention it quickly upon rising, but we shall quickly move on from that. As I move over to the bed, he gently stirs and opens sleepy eyes. I sit down, offering him the cup. Thank you. He adjusts himself, beating a pillow back into shape, sitting up and pressing his back into it. He takes the cup, smiling. I just wanted to say about last night. I knew this was coming, and as such, must interject. Look, you don't have to explain yourself. It all got too much for you. You had a moment, and now you feel embarrassed. That may have come out a bit sharper than I'd have liked, but I struggle with my own doubt. It's not like I'd rehearsed my saving him humiliation speech. He sipped from his mug cautiously, as to not burn his mouth. Thank you for looking after me. It's okay. That's all I could summon up. A feeble, it's okay. I'm trying to reassure him in spite of the fact that I'm screaming inside. Did you mean what you said? He eyed me suspiciously. I remained silent and coy. You said you liked me. I knew what he was referring to. I'd like you a whole lot more if you got ready so we can go out. With that, like an electrical current, I'd thrown myself off the bed and was striding toward the door. Why? Why would I come across so sharp and rude? I'd come this far in holding him last night, admitting certain early feelings, setting and prodding the fire and bringing him tea. I was verging on sickly sweet as I often am capable of. Then I opened my big fat mouth. With that, I stopped myself. Come on, JD. You can handle this. Lose your bloody pride for one moment and give this guy something to work with, something to feel comforted by. You said you wanted to save his pride, save his post-anxious embarrassment, and here you are playing the mysterious flirt that you most certainly are not. With that, I gritted my teeth and turned back from the door. Honestly, just be honest. I do like you. It was lame, but I managed to smile, and an innocent smile is what I received back. It wasn't so hard, was it, JD? It didn't kill you to be just a little honest and upfront about the fact you care. I was about to turn around again when a sheepish lad, smiling like the cat that got the cream, returned. I like you, and what you did last night for me meant a lot. I'm the deer now caught in headlights. The flirtation has evaporated and two guys meet on the battlefield of life with cut open veins that display some real raw emotion. Maybe a freak out in the barn isn't such a bad idea. With that, I turned and made my way downstairs, my mind alive with the cinematic scenes of which I am the screenwriter, replaying the way that moment should have been, imagining scenarios free of fear. Did I play it right? Did I come across as caring or just as insensitive? The fact that I'm worrying this much about this small moment in time must mean that I actually, maybe, just maybe, care a little more about this weekend than I'd initially thought. If you were me, you'd know what's riding on it. This is my chance to start again when I honestly don't know how to. This is a lifeline I so desperately needed throwing. So, will I mess it up with the fact that I don't know how to act? Will I keep coming out with these conversation-killing, cutting lines? I feel dizzy. Chapter 6. The earthenware encompasses all ingredients. Tonight we shall eat. This fire, this flame, it provides our lantern for the night. It provides our warmth to heat otherwise inedible gruel. So many bodies sit scattered around, but each person produces a heat of their own, a loving, warm presence that will see us through this bitter cold. Mother dotes on her daughters, two beautiful princesses in rags, royalty in the eye of the beholder, in the eye of the givers of life, but nonetheless, princesses in rags, beauty without finery. Angels. All of them can smell the watery oats bubbling away in the cauldron. All will be thankful for full stomachs this night. Father drinks weak ale. He is my father, and with him I drink that cheap amber brew, and it bonds us. Two men, two fathers, son and father drinking together. Eleanor stirs the oats, and by her side her own mother dictates the rhythm in which she mixes. A glass of mead aids the mothers as they prepare a well-appreciated poverty banquet. Eleanor's mother looks on with satisfaction as her only surviving child works endlessly to feed her aging parents, to feed her worn and well-worked husband, as she works hard to feed her duo of delicate young daughters. Oh yes, she taught Eleanor well. I sit by the side of my elderly father, sipping this gratefully received ale, watching our women with pride. My daughters lay talking, snuggled under worn fabric, their bodies cradled by straw, awaiting their feed. Ah, yes, all is well tonight. The oats will be intensified by foraged herbs, and Eleanor will send us to our slumber with tummies laced with love and adult minds relaxed by beverages. When our pottage is complete, we will sit cross-legged upon this straw and reminisce of a day's hard labour. We will dream the dreams of what we may forage tomorrow, and we will shut our eyes with comfort, not a comfort born of wealth, but one possessed by love. For all the little I have, it is most certainly disguised by an abundance of love. Luck shone a light down upon me and embraced me with tenderness. We here, all of us here together, a natural benevolence shared, destined to love and be loved and to protect one another. Yes, upon straw and filled with oats, I am most fortunate. Chapter 7. A December gale rips across the shorefront of Mundesley Bay, and high above the seafront, Tom and J.D. stand looking down at the crashing tides. A first venture out into the wilderness together, a chance to experience the sights and sounds of the real world away from the confines of the comfy, safe cottage. Windows shake against the structure of the Manor Hotel, and inside, patrons sip on coffee and wine to escape the chill. The sand is sodden through, damp enough to hold its own weight against the icy blast, but still, the waves continue to batter against the promenade. There is something wildly therapeutic and insanely atmospheric about the harsh December conditions. The sunshine is but a distant memory, and the streets continue to be silent. Holiday makers' gentle chortles are no longer even an echo here, and the long, touristic businesses have long succumbed to their own poverty-laden last breaths. Mundesley, for all intents and purposes, has ceased to exist, all but for the minority who know of its secluded charms. The boys chat and laugh. Panic from both sides seems like a distant memory, as the fresh sea air purifies their lungs and settles their weary minds. A chip shop, small but proud, stands just to the side of the Manor Hotel, its open sign lighting up a dingy grey street. Tom, feeling beside himself with confidence as the serotonin provided by nature rushes through him, turns to J.D. and flirtatiously smiles. "I want to treat us to some fish and chips." J.D., amused by his lover's newfound spark, is aware that it isn't often that anyone wants to treat him. He agrees with a smile. "I don't want fish. Where I'm from, it's all about the cheesy chips." Receiving his order, Tom turns to walk away, declaring to J.D. that he'll be back in a minute, whilst leaving him stood on the pavement. Wait, that seems a bit punitive, to leave him out in the cold like a disobedient dog. With confidence still in tow, Tom turns and holds a hand out for J.D. to take. J.D. walks towards him, proudly wrapping his fingers within Tom's. The minute the door opened, instant heat could be felt. The fish could be smelt sweltering away under the heater, left on display to tempt potential custom. A bit of battered cod, plaice, haddock, rock, skate, or pollock. Take your pick. These fishermen had sourced for all those palates. The scent of potatoes laced the air, and the vinegar offered freely on the side for customers did its damnedest to steal the spotlight on aroma from all other produce. A chirpy, lardy man asked the lads what they desire. Customers were always welcome here, and he often liked guessing what newbies would pick as their fish of choice. Needless to say, he felt slightly disgruntled by the request for chips smothered in cheese. Still, he made gentle small talk as he tossed the chips one last time and dropped them into styrofoam containers. Once laid neatly, he evenly sprinkled ready grated matured cheddar across them before popping them in the microwave soon after to turn that cheese to goo. Once back outside, the boys huddled on a bench, which came complete with a protective roof. They sat shoulder to shoulder as they picked up chips with wooden forks. Their lips quivered, and their mouths fooled them into thinking the chips were hotter than they actually were. As ocean spray slapped them repeatedly, these cooked potatoes offered a warm, welcome solace. Today they wouldn't be venturing down the steep winding slope onto the beach. The unforgiving tide was in, and it was relentless in its need to hug the cliffs. As footsteps became strides up slopes, and two strangers ducked and dived between winding cliff tops, breathing became heavier and conversation louder. As the winds picked up, the ocean roared, and rather than hugged it relentlessly slapped the coastline. Cold grey showers became spits of rain, and two boys became buried under hoods. The trek became miles as they veered further off the track of Mundesley Bay, with no clear direction and no decided destination. The winds evaporated any saliva left in their mouths, and their conversation was lost in a vacuum of the storm. They stood at the highest point on the Norfolk coastline, hand in hand and eye to eye. Mouths met in a desperate attempt to display affection and moisten wind-chapped lips. They stood this way for a while, no words spoken, just passion from one human being to another. A human-created signal of emotion as they nervously pressed against each other. I want to know more about you. They stand still, each hand entwined in each other's, Tom reaching out to JD. Yesterday is history. Can't we just start again today? Tom finds this reply curious, but somewhat poetic at the same time. JD is right. Yesterday is history. Why can't they be reborn across this high cliff together and plunge off it in unity? What does yesterday even matter? Right here in this moment is pure. We've all got a backlog of memories, a closet of skeletons, many days spent only wondering if a day like this could or would arrive. Let's leap off into the abyss as these new individuals with a second chance. When ignored, the skeletons creak open the door, winding their bony fingers around, peeking their skulls out to see why no one is taking a look in. Yes, let's ignore those skeletons. They don't mean well. They don't have anyone's best interests at heart. They are the deceased, the bones collecting dust. Their resurrection will only bring about judgment of the person who once existed, not the person stood here, wind-battered and smitten. Let's take the plunge for yesterday. Isn't a lot to lose, and we will only regret the chances we didn't take. Maybe if we leave Mundesley Bay together at the close of this long weekend, then neither party will count sheep in their sleep any longer. No one will arise in the dead of night with solo panic that they must fight alone. Maybe the battle with fear will be won when two battle terror together. The possibilities are endless, but loneliness keeps these fear-ridden nightmares alive. Unity and partnership will be the potential armour that will make the black dog lay down his sword. Anxiety will surrender to this coalition. Tom's lips trembled, and his jacket was now soaked through. Where the hell are we? JD places an arm around him and hugs him in tight. We've been walking in a straight line. Let's just turn around and do the same back. They retrace their steps, Tom violently shivering, cold and soaked to the bone. They walked for maybe 30 minutes, both silent now and concentrating upon survival. As they came to one of the countryside desolate roads, an old battered bus stop lay before them. JD took Tom's hand and led him toward the dilapidated shack. Inside the moss-laden structure, there wasn't even a bench to be sat upon. JD, much to Tom's surprise and potential arousal, unzipped his jacket. Tom allowed it to happen, wondering what on earth could be going on. JD placed Tom's jacket between his legs and unzipped his own, then proceeding to wrap it around Tom and zip it back up for him. A nail hung dangerously out of the side of the shelter, and JD hung Tom's sodden coat on it, using it like a hook. He then sat up on the floor and held an inviting hand out to Tom, beckoning him. He curled his arms around him and hugged him tightly into his chest. Tom gave in to his warm body heat and took refuge both inside the shack and inside JD's arms. We'll wait here until the rain slows down. You're going to get cold without your jacket. JD gently ran his hand through Tom's wet hair. I'll be okay. Inside the sanctuary of the pitiful bus stop, Tom closed his eyes and felt every well-meaning brush of his hair. What an adventure, he thought, as the damp smell of JD's jumper engulfed his nose, and from time to time little droplets of rain fell from his overgrown fringe, cascading then down his cheek. In the corner, upon the wall, the jacket also sent drips hurriedly running down the side of the bus stop. Silence again, all but for the creaks of the wood as the storm smacked against it. Time went by, and Tom had drifted into a tired slumber. Both boys suddenly awoke as brakes clamped down and a ruckus arrived at their doorstep. JD jumped awake, defense mode activated. Before them, a battered bus had come to a sudden halt, brakes screaming, tires sighing. Down the steps came a group of young teens who, upon seeing them cuddled up on the bus floor, giggled and whispered before making off into the night, screaming with juvenile excitement. You boys getting on or what? A bold, monstrously overweight country bumpkin barked at them. He wasn't necessarily aggressive, just tired of the day and tired of working full stop. JD stood up and walked toward the door. Do you go by Mundesley Bay? Not on this side of the route, lad. JD let out a disappointed huff. The driver, noticing how damp and tired they seemed to appear, also became aware that they weren't native to these parts. Tell you what, lad, I've got 20 more miles on this route, then 25 back to Mundesley. Get on here, get dry, and I'll only charge you the one-way fare. Thank you. JD turned to Tom and helped him to his feet. Tom clambered up on the bus, and JD went back for the jacket as a last-minute thought. They both opted for the back seat upon the empty, beat-up bus. The driver hollered from the front, Get lost, did you, lads? Something like that, announced JD as he smiled from the back. Mundesley Bay coming up. The bus driver seemed to then mutter his own thought process that maybe he meant to only think. Why ever the fuck you go to Mundesley Bay, I don't know. Nothing there. Good fish shop, though, fucking ghost town. As the bus driver continued his conversation with himself, JD smiled toward Tom, enjoying listening in at the old gentleman's disdain for Mundesley. The bus roared off into the night, headlights on brightly, wipers smacking away the torrential rain. Water was seeping in from a corner of the bus, and each bump felt like it could pull the vehicle apart. For the most part, the pair were finally dry. They both watched the coastline twist and turn and fantasized about wood burners, fire, and red wine. Chapter 8. Tick, 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 tock. 6 o'clock arrives once more, and this winter evening has grown dark. No light exists here. The cottage is empty, and I'm plunged into a darkness that I know so well. The dark is ominous. Outside, a sheen of light wobbles gently on the lane. Within this void of nothingness dark, I am, as always, drawn to this little lustre. Again, I repeat the nightly dance and arrive back at the window to catch a better look at this shimmer. There she goes again, drifting on air down the lane, her with her tatty rags and matted hair. She notices me and waves again before going about her business. The little girl with the sad eyes. Are you real? Are you just a ghost? A repeating of history? A tectonic plate shifting for a moment? I so desperately want to know if I'm alone here, just fields away from the bay. When the visitors vacate, even for a few hours, the hours seem to sliver on by so slowly. I race for the door, passing through it like smoke passes through walls. Outside I stand, for the first time in a long while. I turn back and look up at the old cottage. It is just as I remember it. Time has not devastated everything. I hurry to the side of the lane as she continues to drift on by. I want to know you. I want to know I'm not alone. Little girl! She stops, with her back to me, before turning slowly and nervously toward me. Her little cheeks are laden with dirt, and she brushes her hair back to reveal all of herself. You can hear me? Yes, she whispers. We both stand in silence, transfixed upon each other, both sharing a moment in which we muse of this meeting. A little tear rolls from the corner of her eye and falls down her porcelain cheek. Have you seen my mummy? I stand silently. She continues on. I want my mummy. I can't find her. I cross the lane and kneel down beside her, my cold hand reaching out and falling through hers. I cannot take it, so instead I hover it above hers, the act not the same, but the sentiment evident. I haven't seen her. Her sorrowful eyes look downward. I can't remember what she looks like. I'm lost. I'm lonely. I feel things I haven't felt in years. I feel her sense of abandonment. I feel her longing, her loss. For those of us left here, we mourn. Truly we do. I chose to stay out of fear. This girl appears to somehow have got lost. The big light hurts my eyes. She catches me off guard. I try a reassuring, comforting smile and inquire further. What big light? She looks back toward me. The big light yonder. She raises a delicate small arm and points toward the end of the darkened lane. I cannot see it, my darling. It is true, I couldn't. I can see it now. It is so bright. Why can't you see it? She pleads. Why couldn't I see it? She continues to stare down the lane, trembling, but I can't see what she sees. I walk down here every night looking for Mummy. Then the bright lights make me run. Where do you go then? I don't know, she cries. Tears stream and she shuts her eyes as if trying to remember. I run, and then I reappear at the top of the lane. It sounded terrifying. To flee, only to reappear later. A Ferris wheel existence. Go to the light. Her tears stop, and she eyes me curiously. But I'm scared. Don't be scared, my darling. Your mummy's beyond. She's inside of the light. I couldn't believe what I was saying. Here I am, the coward who had my opportunity for the light, rejected it and never saw it again. The light never came back for me, but I sensed it wanted her. It must do to appear nightly for her. I'll stand here and wait while you walk to the end of the lane. I don't want to. She was agitated now. Your mother is beyond the light. She's inside of the light. She told me so. I lied. She pondered what I said, desperation for her mother obvious. You'll wait here in case I need you? Yes, sweetheart. As I kneeled upon the lane, she came toward me and hugged me. Her arms fell through me, but I felt it all at the same time. She stood back and took a few steps forward, shuffling nervously in the right direction. I stood tall once more upon the lane as I watched her. She turned back and looked at me. You promise? She whispered. I promise. Go on. I'll wait right here. Don't keep your mother waiting. For the first time, her lips curled into a small smile, a fragile smile. Something that, if not handled delicately, could fracture with a single wrong word. She turned once more, and her small steps became wide strides. Her walk became a run. Suddenly, a lambent light opened, gentle, dazzling, and inviting. As the light lit up the entire lane with a warm radiance, she glided stronger and faster towards it. My mouth fell open upon viewing such a splendid sight. I'd seen it. I'd seen the light again. And she arrived at its entrance portal. She turned to me, and her ghostly voice called back for me. Come with me, mister. In a moment I was so tempted. The glow was so bewitching. She stood before it. She transformed before its very heavenly glow. Her hair was caught up in a blizzard of breeze, and the strands pulled apart from their natural dreadlocks. Her hair flowed so freely, and in a moment turned from dirty and dismal to a luscious soft blonde. The light illuminated her face, and all traces of earthy muck were in an instant absent. Her dress no longer appeared heavy with wear, but instead glowed its own light as it flowed in the breeze. Come with me, mister, quickly! This light would make her transcend. It would take her from the loss and longing of her life here in the astral plane. Go forth, little girl. The glow grew and consumed her. The transition completed. With that, I closed my eyes, not wanting to be tempted any further. I must defend and guard my castle, for I am the keeper of the keys. I gently opened my eyes once more. They were readjusting. Darkness once more. Desolate lane, once more. Loneliness, once more. But she was real. I wasn't the only spectre who walked here. I am not alone, not even now. She is my hope that more exists. I hoped her mother waited beyond, the truth being that I didn't know. If I knew, I'd have gone. Her little understanding of what death was, her confusion, her nightly cycle, all sounded so very frightening. Even though I lied, even though I don't know, I know she is better off beyond the light. I have my cottage. With that, I walked back toward the door and passed through once more with effortless ease. Everything seemed all the darker since the passing of the light. A reassurance seems to have been delivered to me, but in the same breath, an emptiness deeper than ever before had seemed to open up. A memory returns to me as I stand in the oldest part of the house. This is where once we'd lay hay and straw and sleep upon it. It is where pottage could always be smelt, both on good forage days and on the bad. On occasion herbs would waft through the air, a lucky pottage that included vegetables. The rest of the time would be oats and water. Eleanor stood stirring the gruel. Her mother aided her in her work. Her father and I looked on drinking ale whilst our women worked. Sheepish giggles of young girls echo from the back of the room, sisters up to no good. Many a night would be spent like this, just replays of the same comforting scene. Family together, food on the fire and life. Full of life we all were, and that's how I want to remember us. It is funny, people always want to remember things a certain way. They preach to look past the ill or the struggle or the hardship. They say, I remember them this way. I say it myself, as I've just said it. But that doesn't stop the haunting picture of the hardest moment returning. The image never goes. All I do is just shove it away with a prettier picture. But it is always there. The following morning I awoke to the sounds of wretched howls and screams. Eleanor! I sprung to my feet, straw still stuck to the side of my face. She just screamed on and on and on. Her parents were already to their feet, hurling across the room to Ellie. My daughter joins in the choir of wailing. As I reached the congregation, still weary and sleepy, below them all on a bale of straw laid my other daughter. Her lips were blue, her body stiff. Death had visited and taken her from us. Whilst we slept, he'd creeped in and claimed her for his own. If I remember my daughter, I remember her playing and giggling with her sister, her wild curly hair, her deep hazelnut eyes, her sense of humour and mischief. Very much girly with the ability to be one of the boys. So beautiful. As hard as I picture her like this, the vision of death still returns, still piercing each time. My own transcendence into the afterlife hasn't dampened the heartache. It hasn't removed a 500-year-old memory still so raw, so indelible, so set in stone upon my mind. A parent should never bid farewell to a child. It should always, always be the other way round. I exist here in the afterlife knowing that I poured all my remaining love into my family, that I grafted, provided and walked forth in life, doing what I could by them. Maybe she is beyond. Maybe they are all beyond together. Maybe she frequented the cottage during our lifetimes, watching us as I watch others. Possibly her grandparents collected her when their journey ended and took them to the light. By the time I had arrived at the junction between life and ever after, no one was waiting for me. But the light did shine and I rejected it. So cowardly, so selfish, too afraid of the possibility of ceasing to exist entirely. I want to exist on some level. I want to know that I worked for something and lived for something and died for something. I can't help but think the last of that list never happened. I didn't die for anything. I was the only one left. I outlived parents, a wife, and 2 daughters. My other daughter grew into a beautiful woman, a farmer's wife. She grew old herself and cared for me. Her skin turned to wrinkles, her walk a shuffle, but as I sat upon a throne of straw, she'd come to me each night and cook. As she grew older, I grew ancient, and my heart still kept beating as hers ground to a gradual stop. I didn't die for anything. I just lived till a ripe old age, and when I went alone. There was no one by my side as I had been for Eleanor, no one to cry over me as we had done for our daughter, and no one to make plans as my daughter's husband had done for her. I just fell into a slumber, only to be awoken by the light. I knew the time had come as I looked around dazed by the glow, only to see my lifeless, haggard body below. I cried. Yes, I sat by my corpse and cried. I cried for a life ended. I cried because no one was there to greet me. I cried because there was an existence beyond earthly life. But God didn't judge me as I'd hoped, and no one was there to comfort me. Maybe beyond the light, all this was waiting for me, but maybe it wasn't. I sat by my body, just glaring, hypnotized by its purity. After what seemed like forever, the void of light suddenly ceased up, and I remained here in the cottage. A neighbour days later discovered me, and within no time at all, a new family moved in, and so began my love affair, with new families over all this time. An observer I've been since the day I passed on, no more and no less. I was very satisfied with my humble life. It wasn't free of familiar heartache, and it had its share of poverty-stricken, desperate moments. But I've said before, I loved living. And I've also said before, I'm too afraid to cease to exist entirely, too afraid to lose my connection with earth and life itself. The key in the door turned. Company at last. Chapter 9. On this mattress we shall fornicate, not because of love, not even because of lust, just because. Because we are high, a trip that turned into a real mind fuck. As the springs groan beneath us, know that I do not love you. In fact, who even are you? You are a stranger to me, yet you are buried inside me. Such little respect do I have for myself, maybe even for you. Tin foil and grotty spoons lay by our side, and together us strangers embarked on this trip that has taken us way out of our tiny minds. Heroin. I am in a euphoric place at this pleasant time. I'm so sleepily ecstatic as you ride away upon me that the act is almost pointless, as I took such a drug to feel nothing but pleasure. This pleasure does not come from what you plunge within, but it comes from the sudden silence of my mind. The walls don't seem so high, and I feel capable of anything. I, tonight can be anything, and dream anything, and do anything. But I think I will sleep. In my dreams I can be anything that I'd like to be. Confidence is restored within me. And don't you know that one day I'm going to become something? Heroine. For you and for me. We can share this dirty little addiction. We can gasp relief as it flows through our veins, and then we can lay together like this, you becoming literally one with me, bound together by our need, and bound together by this pointless act. He moans and finishes, pulls out and falls to my side. What the hell does it matter? I'm glad you had fun. So did I. I had such fun because I knew you were there. Our erotic act solidified that. But it wasn't your sex that excited me or made me feel whole. It was that you suffer the same disease as I. We are dependent, and you make me feel better because you are no better. Who are you again? Within moments of ejaculation, you've passed out by my side. Thank you. Thank you for being as weak and as feeble as me, and for keeping me company. In the morning we'll awake and pretend nothing happened. But if we shoot up together again, we'll end up like this once more. In a run-down office building, the walls pulsate with the cries of the withdrawn. They rock with the movement of salacious acts. Here in this squat, we all just live in a temporary high moment. From one empty office room to another, the scenes play out quite differently. High, low, high, low, high, low. Sex fights, sex fights, sex fights. Maybe we'll be raided in the morning and law enforcement will all send us on our pitiful way. But right now I feel so good. I'm floating in another zone, far away from these graffitied walls and their never-ending sound. I love smack. Chapter 10. What relief to peel these sodden clothes off. Did I just experience the most magical of evenings? The way we took shelter from the storm, the way he offered me his coat, the way he held me. Yes, my own little movie at last. I met this guy at this time yesterday evening, yet he feels like he is my whole life, like he's been everything to me forever. I'm falling hard and fast, and I am no longer afraid. I like it. I drop my wet clothes upon the floor and catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror. Flat. Just symmetrical from head to toe. I hope he likes that. Personally, I'm not so sure. Everyone wants what they haven't got, right? I think I'd look kind of nice if I had a broad chest like JD, if I had big arms to wrap around him. In saying that, JD maybe would like to be more like me, just pleasantly symmetrical. We spend our whole lives fretting over how we look. I know I have. We always want a bit more or a little less. Is it conceivable in today's world that we can just all meet each other and celebrate how wonderfully different we all are? JD can wrap his muscly arms around my rake and just keep me close to his busty chest forever. That sounds divine. I pick a towel up off the bed and pat myself down before dressing myself into some comfy jogging bottoms and a baggy t-shirt. With that, I make my way along the creaky corridor, down the groaning stairs and into the kitchen. He stands with the wine glasses, pre-poured, and hands one to me. Warm yet? I was getting there. With a clink of the glass, we exchange nervous looks and take a warming swig. I follow him through to the lounge, and the fire is already ablaze. I take one sofa, and he takes the other. Curious, why not sit next to me? I'd be a liar if I said I wasn't slightly disappointed. Deep breath in, exhale honesty. I I wish this didn't have to end tomorrow. We've only got one more night. My stutter had returned. JD swigs his drink again. Don't think of it as one last night. Think of it as having a whole night left. Sweet. There he goes, philosophizing again. JD, do you consider us together? He chuckles. What? What did I say? Nothing. You are just sweet. I thought it'd be blindingly obvious. But you still don't say it. JD pops his glass gently on the side and looks across directly at me. If you want to give us a try, then I'm here, aren't I? It wasn't quite the response I was looking for, but I'll take it. Rather than come across the obsessed new boyfriend, I fought the internal war to not let fear and trepidation take over. Yes, we are here together. Oh, good one, Tom. Why do I always sound like such a dork? These anxieties just invade me continuously, and it's like my brain starts stuttering and flipping before my mouth does. The doorbell rang piercingly, and JD bounced out the room toward the door. I could hear the whispers of an exchange, but couldn't quite make them out. Moments later, he returned by the door, 2 cardboard boxes with pizza, steam billowing out of the holes in the sides. I don't know about you, but I'm hungry. Well, what more could a boy want? While I change, he stokes the fire, pours the wine, and then secretly orders pizza. I am lucky for sure. JD literally sweeps magazines and tourist brochures off the coffee table and lays the boxes down. He starts flipping open the lids to reveal steamy, greasy, cheesy messes. Just how I like it. Dig in, baby. Pet names now. This is living. Not much is said as we unleash our manly appetites upon this fine Italian cuisine, both chomping away and swiping up strings of mozzarella that try to escape from our mouths. As I eat, I reflect upon my most perfect day. I couldn't do this every day, though. If my usual routine consisted of cheesy chip butties and pizza, I wouldn't be symmetrical for long. With dinner consumed, I tidied the boxes away and placed them out the back for collection, per the instructions of the owner. I joined JD back in the living room, and the conversation continued as the wine bottle contents got lower. We spoke about music, his insatiable love of rock, and my guilty pop pleasures. Films, he likes horror and I love biopics. We entertained each other with funny anecdotes of those whom we knew and the silliest things that had ever happened to us. As the wine got finished, I got more confident. I am on top of the world. This is my reality that I had sought. Who knew it had come in the form of this perfect stranger? I didn't want to dig too much. I'd only spoke earlier of sometimes the skeletons in the closet being left there for good reason. I didn't want to divulge a whole life of anxiety to JD, not yet. He knew I suffered, and that's all that mattered. I went and took the spare place by JD on the sofa. I took his hand and wrapped it around me. I feel safe under here. I feel safe embraced by him. Together we could conquer my anxiety, if this was the results. I felt a rare serenity under his blanket of comfort. It is a feeling I wasn't used to, both relaxation and having someone to hold me. There is no greater feeling, and if there is, I'm yet to find it. I look up to him, his eyes looking back down upon me. Thank you for everything. He smiles back gently and kisses my lips. I kiss him back with full meaning, completely engaged, wrapping my lips across his and tasting him entirely. I'm ready. I want to feel this connection. I want all of him. I want him to hold his nude body against mine and make a connection that seals our destiny together. With a rare understanding of my newfound convictions for our romance, a rare confidence that for me is so out of character, but it emerged. My hand gently caressed down his body, falling under his shirt and touching his soft, beautiful, delicate skin. Completely consumed by passion and a need, I find his belt and start undoing it. JD shoves me away with such vigorous force and bolts to his feet. What the hell are you doing? He stands the opposite side of the room now, pacing, seething with rage. What has just happened? That swelling in my stomach begins and my heart flutters. A surge of panic courses through my system. JD, I just wanted... He shuts me down, spitting with fury. You just what? You wanted to finish our weekend with a quick rough and tumble. No! I cry back. My head continues to spin wildly out of control, a sickly spinning top. I just sit bewildered by his reaction, unable to comprehend what I did that was so wrong. Yeah, cheeky, I know. I was trying to be cheeky and trying to be romantic. I honestly only wanted him to be close, to take that next step together. We're both adults, aren't we? We're both young and ready to explore the world. How dare you? How fucking dare you? This wasn't the JD I knew. A fool am I, possibly, to believe that everything that had presented itself was true. Is JD this amazing, gentle, kind individual I'd been rapidly falling for? Or has the real JD emerged? I don't say that because I'm bitter about the rejection. I say it based on his reaction, shoving me, shouting at me. If he didn't want to move that quickly, all he had to do was remove my hand and say, not yet. He was fuming. Is that what you think I am? Some whore? You meet me on the internet and just assume this is a hookup? With thudding heart behind chest walls, I clambered to my feet. No! I just wanted to make love to you. My cry was a plea. Why does it always end up like this? Why is nothing ever pure and beautiful? I didn't mean to overstep the line. My intentions were solid and loving. You better stay away from me, Tom. I can see who you really are now. None of this anxiety bullshit. You came here with one purpose, and that isn't what I was looking for. Knife, dagger, straight through the heart. I'm not the person he was describing. He was being cruel. He stands before me making out like I'm some deviant, some carnal nymphomaniac. I scream in my own unexpected rage. That is a lie! I'm a virgin! We both stand silent, eyes locked and engaged. JD swigs the last sip of his wine, his eyes glaring through my soul. I'm not going to be the one to try your tricks on. He storms out of the room, and I fall to the sofa sobbing. These aren't the cries of anxiety I'm used to. This is pure deflation. I saw a dream just rip apart at the seams before me. Everything, all this beauty now tainted by just a few moments of misunderstanding. I'd follow him, but I couldn't. I'm scared again. I'm the terrified little boy once more who arrived yesterday evening, the one who took his first big boy step and it all worked out for the better. Now it's just worse. Never experiencing any of this would have been better than the fantasy falling to pieces. The film has played out its scene of tragedy and drama, and I don't know how to bring it all back together. I'm too afraid to bring it all back together. My head rests in my hands as I lay across the sofa, dribbles of snot bubbling out of my nose as I try to keep my crying to an inaudible minimum. Alone I feel once more. I am in this cottage far away from anything with a complete stranger. The reality is this. I don't know who he is, where he's come from and what he's capable of. That sounds far more ominous and dangerous than the pretty picture I painted this last weekend gone. I laid in bed last night with someone I didn't know at all. Little false images danced around in my brain of how brave I'd been and how I'd received my medal for such bravery. But no, I am a fool, a silly, stupid fool who's put himself in such potential harm's way. I can't bear this. I need to make him understand, if not for our growing emotions, then for my safety. I want to feel safe again. I cannot stay in this house while we both lay awake in separate rooms thinking God knows what. Just one final piece of confidence, Tom. Don't let this slip away. With that, I take quickly to the stairs, my legs trying to fall from under me, my head spinning in repetitive circles. I'm okay. I'm okay. Just keep telling yourself that. I burst into the master bedroom in a blaze. JD is on the floor with his head resting against the bed. Leave me alone, he barks. I stand defiant and point a judging finger at him. Listen to me, okay? You owe me that much, I order. JD sits shaking on the floor, evidently trying to hold back tears. Please, after everything, do not treat me like some predator. I honestly have been falling for you. I honestly like you just as you are, and I want to be by your side going forward. My voice steadies after my introduction speech. It hurts, okay? It hurts to think I've upset you. It hurts to feel dirty, and I didn't want any of this to happen. I honestly only wanted to hold you and to feel you. Why? Because I care about you, and you make me feel all the things that no one else has. In a flat voice, he responds, Well, I can't be them things to you. Ouch. Why was he here then? Why lead me on? To lead me on is surely worse than me trying to be sexy and passionate. Then you lead me on. Why even bother coming if you had no interest in me? I may have stepped over the line too early on, but I did it with good meaning and good intention. I choke on the lump in my throat as I close my sentence. Desperately, I try to hold back the tears. I love you. A haunting pause falls upon the room. Well, don't bother. I believe my mouth literally fell open upon hearing that. I don't know this person at all. Well, I do. And how dare you make me feel safe and loved to throw this at me? I am keeping you safe, he now screams back. I am keeping you safe because I don't want you to end up a diseased, filthy person like me. Yeah, I have hepatitis. Chronic. I'm a disgusting ex-smackhead. Now run like the fucking wind. Panic consumes, and in a frantic dizziness, all I can do is run. With that, my legs carry me out of the room, down the stairs and back into the living room. I pant for breath at the revelation. My JD. I don't understand. I don't understand any of it, and I'm so discombobulated and riddled with fight or flight. I didn't ask for it to end this way. I didn't ask for any of this. I just wanted to keep the dream alive and live happily ever after. Yes, as a cliche as that sounds. Why can't we have a fairy tale in our lives? What's wrong with believing in something more? I sit down upon the sofa and try to focus on my breathing. The air is humid in the room from the flames, but I suck down some oxygen through my nose. It bypasses my chest and inflates my belly. I hold it in, counting for a pause and then exhaling gently through my mouth. Lather, rinse, repeat. The walls came tumbling down and now I need to get myself back in control. Nose, belly, mouth. Nose, belly, mouth. Nose, belly, mouth. Pause. JD's unwell. Selfish thoughts conjure in my mind as I wonder if I'm infected from the kisses. I don't understand hepatitis. I thought that could all be cured. I get the basics, what it is, what I learnt about in school, but I don't know how easily it spreads or if I've already been exposed. Stop. Stop being selfish. He's the one living this. Maybe I should try and understand. It all makes so much sense now. It's why he wouldn't sleep with me. Come to think of it, The kisses have been distant, not full of tongue and passion. I was so caught up in experiencing romance that until now I didn't realise that it wasn't like the movies. There has been some resistance. I don't know what to do. Do I go back to him upstairs and comfort him, or do I give this time now? Do I want to go back to him? My fear to approach him might be evidence that my emotions were never that deep. Here I am in a daze of fear of his illness, but surely if I cared for him, and if I'd fallen in love with him like I announced, then I'd be back by his side comforting him. Surely. That is what love is, right? For better or worse, in sickness and health. I might need to ponder this. I know I've been falling in love, and falling deep. So why the question? Potentially I just need time to adjust, to settle this mind and settle my nerves. In light of these revelations, I do need to collect myself for now, if only for my own sanity. Chapter 11. Existence. To be alive, to know you are alive, to be blessed to be alive. No one asked for it, but suddenly, then, they existed. No one chose what they'd exist to. Some born to an existence of great fortune and privilege, some to the opposite, poverty and oppression. But still, no one asked, but we received. It isn't defined, it isn't set in stone in how we will exist. We just do, and we grow, and we make choices. Options are provided along the path of our lives, some limited, some advantageous. Some have lived well, and they called it luck. Some have been continually cursed, and they called it bad luck. But we return again to the very point of existence. There is no good luck or bad luck. It just is. Our heart still pumps blood through our bodies. Our minds still send tiny little speed of light signals to our limbs, and on we walk. Some bodies are born strong and resilient. Others are born with imbalances that pave the way for a weak and immobile life. We didn't get lucky or unlucky. The complicated biology of reproduction pulled some cards from the deck and picked the best and worst from our mothers and fathers. Occasionally, for some, we opted for options that invaded and changed the course of our existence. Some pulled violent clouds of smoke down into otherwise healthy lungs. Others shot up junk that plagued healthy organs in the plight to quiet an unhealthy mind. People drank until their livers functioned no more. Others played a game of roulette in sex and other curricular activities. Some just went along living their best life, eating well, sleeping well, but still, that biological makeup of theirs tore them down with illness. It wasn't destiny nor fate. It was their waiting. They wasn't destined to function well for a lifespan. They moan as they look at other abusers of their own bodies. I didn't do that. I looked after myself, but now I'm ill. Yes, and that is just the way it goes. Some lived and loved and sealed bonds that would keep them loved and cherished forevermore. Others never tasted any love at all. Success was earned and sometimes just given, while others tried desperately, working hard to only ever receive just the bare minimum. That is still not luck. That is a human-made conception. I am extant. I don't exist in the same plane as the two lovers before me, but I do exist in some way. The rumours of a soul must have been true because mine goes on. Those who live and breathe occupy themselves with my existence relentlessly. Not mine directly, but their need to know of beyond, their need for comfort that they won't just cease to exist. Existentialism, that is the disease of the living, so consumed by where they are going after, that they forget to live their only promised existence. As luck has it, something does lie beyond, but only us who have passed know that. But the strange irony is that even on this plane, as I've mentioned so many times before, I am not promised to exist beyond the light. That I fear may just be peaceful, eternal slumber. I am still afraid that that is all there is. You see, fear never ends, not for the living and not for the dead. It is one very human emotion that goes on, reminding us of how human we were and still are. It is the fear I wish to not give in to. It is what I wish for you to resist also. A life spent in fear is no life at all. Those anxieties won't evade us. Worry won't leave just because we want it to. It is how we choose to invest in our fears. Do we let them run wild and plague us? Or do we just live and laugh in spite of the fear that is niggling into our minds? We can simultaneously live with fear and without it. It really is all about investment. If fear is so natural and something that won't ever go away, then we need to learn to live with fear and own it. It does fundamentally keep us safe. That is its purpose, to fight or to flight. Too much, however, sours the mind. It stops us moving in the way we want to move, doing what we need to do, believing in what we want to believe. My wish for Tom and JD is not to fear. Can't they see that it is already driving a penetrating wedge between them? Scared of their own emotions, afraid to let go, terrified to plunge in. There is obstacles to overcome, sure. None of us are free of the obstacles. A revelation has caused much confusion and terror, but that is all it is. Some bonds that are made can't be broken. Some really are worth fighting for. As I sit here now, watching JD sheepishly pass back into the living room, Tom still head in hands upon the sofa, I still believe in you. Learn to accept who you are, what you are dealing with, and learn how to deal with it. Learn how to live beyond the limitation. Learn to love and forgive, because the only thing that exists that is more powerful than fear is love. I still believe in you both. Chapter 12. JD enters the room and slumps down, defeated upon the opposite sofa from me. I hadn't until now realised just how tired he looked. He didn't exude well-being or happiness. You could see the light just dimming in his eyes. Even as he walked in, he had that stoop in his step, and as he slumped down, he did so as if he'd just used the last of everything he had. I'm sorry for shouting at you. As if I now cared about that. Though defeated, this was the JD I wanted to know. The real guy, the one I was falling in love with. You think I didn't want to make love to you? He half laughs. He continues. Of course I did. You are beautiful. At least it'd be real between us when we did it. What I didn't want was to hurt you, or have to explain to you, for you to stop falling in love with me. Silence. I just wanted to keep the dream alive a little longer before telling you. He broke down. The tears cascaded down his face, and before me I could literally feel his heart break. Who wants me, huh? The disease? From fear to heartache, I could literally feel every word he said, and so I hung on. I walked across to him, sat down by his side, and put a gentle arm around his shoulder. Then the emotion really ran out. Raw, real, and without hesitation. I don't want to be like this. I worked so hard to come off the drugs, to get my life back together, and then I find out about it. Even then I didn't go back to the smack. It's already caused more harm than good. I just wanted to be loved and appreciated for who I am, and now because of this no one ever will. He wailed into my chest, each word delivered with pain and affliction. I put my hand through his hair, as he had done for me. I don't care about that, I whispered. Yes, you do, he wailed back. No, I don't. I thought for a moment that I might, if I'm being completely candid, but I don't. There's more to life than superficial people, and healthy people, and problem-free people. It's you I've been falling for, and as such I'll take your baggage with me. Harder he cried, burying himself deeper into me. We'll work it out, I comfortingly assured as I kissed his head. His torment was literally pulling me apart. Each sob hurt me, and that's how I knew. I knew I loved this man. Bullshit to timescales. Fuck what people would say. I'm not problem-free either, and I'll say it from the rooftops. I love this man. He stole my heart in under 48 hours, and I know because of his kindness, his support, his security, I'll never be the same again. I'll never go on knowing that he made me feel all these alien emotions and I never explored them further. I'll never live with myself knowing he accepted all of me and I ran because of his affliction. I want to help. I want to hold him. We'll be so safe and careful, and we will together make love and create more memories, and I will ultimately be there. I kissed his head again and lifted his chin to face me. Look at those tear-ridden, beautiful eyes. How I wish to reignite their fire. I love you. His lip trembles. I love you too. That is all that matters. We are in love, and therefore we are in with a chance. He cried on for some time, me gently rocking him, kissing him again, holding him close. Let it all out, and let it all go. We travelled all this way to Mundesley Bay, and as a result of our actions, we encountered emotions that couldn't be denied or let go of. I don't want to let go of what I've come to find. By the time we made our way upstairs, JD lay tired and depleted on the bed. As I moved over to the bed, a current passed through me. A need to do something more. To solidify what we have. To show him that he isn't a germ, that he isn't dirty, that I think he is completely wonderful, and as such will be vulnerable with him. I disrobed. Without pause, without fear, in front of the bed I simply undressed, naked as the day I was born, and laid down beside him, getting under the covers. Please sleep naked with me, JD. This was my time to take the lead, to show him I wasn't afraid. We can discuss our first time and how it will be done in the future. For now, I just want to hold you. With that, JD slipped off his tank top and dropped it to the floor before nervously pulling down his joggers. With that, I curled an arm under his neck, pressed my body against him, and laid on his chest. He was magnificent, all that I'd imagined, an ordinary body, not starved and not ripped, just perfection in my eyes. Did you see that? JD inquired and bolted up in bed. What? What was it? It was a flash of light. It lasted a second out on the landing. No, I didn't see it. The house was dark, lights out in every room. JD stared a moment longer and laid back down, finally putting his arm around me and embracing the moment. With that, we soon fell into a tired, honest, safe slumber. We were again one, a partnership. a unity. If I could cry, I would. I'm not intrusive, and as such, when JD and Tom retired to their quarters, I didn't follow them in. This was their time, not a time for me to look, judge, and intervene. I had occupied myself by visiting the other two rooms, reminiscing on the families that had occupied them. These rooms had offered sanctuary for many lives. As I passed by the corridor, with the lad's room slightly ajar, I could hear JD reporting of a light. Was it me? Did he see me? Had my spiritual light been seen for just a fleeting moment? Do I still exist between the line of life and death? In all these centuries, I've been traceless. I have been unable to do anything that led anyone to question my existence. Maybe, just maybe for a moment, I was real. I sat on the staircase and listened to gentle snores and heard the walls talk and groan. I am tired now. Chapter 13. I haven't seen the bay for a long, long time. A few 100 years, maybe. Apart from the commercial ruin left behind of businesses, it hasn't changed all that much. If only I could smell the fresh sea air and touch the damp sand, I'd once again be a happy man. It took a lot to leave the confines of the cottage, but I wanted to see JD and Tom off onto their journey. Their presence has expanded my mind and made me imagine emotions long left behind. The start of their journey seems to be the end of mine. I thought maybe if I threw myself to the tide, it'd take me away. Can a spectre grow tired? To feel exhausted? Well, I thought not, but that is how I feel now. Nothing about my spirit life has been as imagined, and for the first time I feel comfortable. The cottage didn't crumble. Mundesley hasn't fallen into the sea, and my humble home has provided the backdrop and temple of life to many families. It has provided a setting to fall in love time and time again. The world evolved and revolved around me, and I walked among living beings who never even knew I was there. And that is okay. It has been my pleasure and delight to have seen time move on, and to have seen my surroundings survive. I'm not sure where I go from here, but I feel a sense of peace. Someone saw me, and I do exist, if only for a moment. The tide is out today, and JD and Tom stand adorned in hats, scarves, and big coats. They stand propped up against railings, looking out to the sea from the promenade. The wind still blows its relentless wintry gust, but it is quiet and desolate here by the sea. Turning to each other, they stare into each other's eyes. This would make a perfect picture. Them, admiring one another, the sea behind them. Where do we go from here then? Tom asks. I don't know, but we can go together, if you like. With JD's offer accepted, the two's lips meet, and they go hand in hand onto the beach, running excitedly towards the crashing waves. I follow quickly behind, making my way hastily across the sands, right to the edge of the sea. The salt water laps up to their feet and tries desperately to drip in through their shoes. Clouds fall like atom bombs, and the gentle crashing of the waves is tranquil. They stand hand in hand, looking out at the magnificent British sky above them, and I stand shoulder to shoulder by them, enjoying the same view as they do. I turn my head. Tom has now rested his head upon JD's shoulder, both of them dreaming of what tomorrow will bring. Both arrived here, strangers in the night, but as remarked by them, there is folk stranger than them. In years or decades to come, maybe the young lovers will prepare for visits to Mundesley, the setting, the backdrop, the beginnings of their life together. They may walk the promenade as old men and rejoice in the memories that this place offers them. That is my hope for them. Suddenly, a dog barks loudly, startling us all. The boys quickly turn to see who the intruder is. "Did you just hear a dog bark?" remarked JD. "Yeah, it scared the hell out of me. Where is it?" Tom inquired. "It sounded like it was right behind us," he continued. "Must be the ghostly dog of Mundesley," jested JD. They returned to their sea viewing. I curiously turned, and behind me a little dog rolled about in the sand, kicking grains into the air. Behind him a tiny old lady rushed across the beach, calling him back. My eyes widened. "Eleanor?" I watched, mesmerized by my beloved Eleanor, heading toward me. The dog continued on into the waves, ducking and diving. She appeared by my side, not looking at me, but looking out to sea. On the astral plane, two living boys stood shoulder to shoulder with me. An entity, a ghost, and by my side stood Eleanor, all of us but me looking out to sea. I was transfixed upon this distant stranger that I hadn't adoringly viewed in so very long. It was almost like I could feel a heart beat again inside my chest. I could feel tears behind my eyes. I felt real again. "Where have you been, Bartholomew?" she gently whispered. "What took you so long?" Still unable to speak, I rested my head against hers. "I thought you'd gone on without me, Eleanor." She turned slightly and rested an old, fragile hand upon my cheek. "Leave without my Bartholomew? Don't be silly. You said by my bedside that when you were able to join me, you'd meet me by the bay." She chuckled. I had said that. As her illness had become more crippling, and I sat by her bed, I told her exactly that. How did I forget? You always were a forgetful old so-and-so, but you have always been mine, and I'd never leave without you. I did exactly as you asked. I stayed here and protected our dear sweet Mundesley. But I'm tired now, my love." What is that? It's a real tear. I'm sure I can feel it. It is leaking from my eye, and heartache has never felt so pure. Still at a loss for real words, I uttered only what came naturally to me. "I love you, my dear Eleanor. I've been so lost without you." With that, she walked forward to the edge of the ocean, and a beautiful, radiant, heavenly glow lit up the skies. That sweet smile that I've missed for so long. "Come on, you. We have loved ones waiting." I paused, still a little scared. What if there is nothing beyond? I had found her and I didn't want to lose her so soon after. She stepped back toward me, just a few steps, and held out a hand. "Whatever is beyond, we go together, and I have a strong feeling there are some girls who are desperate to see us. We have much to talk about, darling Bartholomew." With that, I stepped confidently forward and took her hand. Our little dog joined us by our sides as we stared off into the lustre that hovered above the ocean. With one final glance back at Tom and JD, viewing a view that saw only a sea of possibilities, I wished them a silent good luck, and wandered off into the unknown with my beloved. If their love could last a lifetime and transcend into another realm centuries later, as ours now had, then they never again be lonely. Love is the ties that bind. Love will see us through, and in both life and death, true love remains.